Picture yourself standing in line for brisket at a gas station. There are about 40 people ahead of you, and nobody looks annoyed. To your left, a wall of jerky, 16 kinds of it. Behind you, a woman is buying a hoodie with a cartoon beaver on the front. You came here for fuel. You have been inside for 25 minutes, and you are walking out with a bag. Buc-ee's sells you gas at a price that makes them almost nothing. That's not a discount. That's the ad budget. And the ad works so well that one of these stores does an estimated $50 to $100 million a year, on a lot where the industry average store does 5.5. There is a gas station in Texas, the size of a grocery store, 74,000 square feet, 120 pumps, 650 parking spaces, and a cartoon beaver on the sign. Roughly 100 million people a year pull into one off the traffic of about 50 locations. The usual explanation is clean bathrooms, brisket, and good marketing. Buc-ee's is a fun stop that happens to be huge, so it sells more of everything, including gas. But the truth is the opposite. Buc-ee's barely makes money on gas, on purpose. The fuel is priced to pull cars off the interstate, not to earn. It's a customer acquisition expense that happens to be booked as fuel margin. About 2/3 of the revenue comes from what happens after you're already inside. And the gap is not small. One store, 50 to 100 million a year. The average American fuel-selling convenience store does about 5.5 million. Same highway, same gasoline, 10 to 20 times the business, which means the difference isn't the product. Industry-wide, fuel is 65% of sales, but only 38.8% of gross profit. Buc-ee's runs that ratio backwards. So, how the pumps buy traffic, how a 3-minute stop became a 30-minute visit, why a beaver hoodie clears 40% margin, and why a competitor with the same blueprint still can't build one. Every revenue number here is a third-party estimate, because Buc-ee's is private and discloses nothing. Start at the pumps. Across the whole U.S. convenience industry, fuel is 65% of total sales dollars and only 38.8% of gross profit dollars. That's NACS, the industry's own trade group. Pumping gas barely makes money for anyone. Everybody in the category knows this. Almost nobody acts on it. Buc-ee's acts on it. Roughly 1/3 of revenue from fuel, 2/3 from inside sales, against an industry norm of 60 to 67% fuel, up to 120 fueling positions per store. One Colorado location pulls around 8,000 cars a day. Here's how this actually shows up. Every cent per gallon given up isn't lost margin. It's media spend. They're buying a car, a driver, and 2 passengers, delivered to the door, already stopped, already out of the vehicle. You have a product on your sign, the thing customers know you for, the thing you'd name if someone asked what you do. Now, go look at what it actually contributes to gross profit. For a lot of operators, the headline product is running at 60-something% of revenue and under 40% of the profit. That's not a broken product. That's a traffic source you've been mispricing as a profit center. So, the gas is bait. Fine, but bait only works if the trap converts, and here's the number that explains everything. The average American gas stop lasts 3 minutes and 33 seconds. At Buc-ee's, it's 30 minutes or more, almost 10 times the exposure on the same tank of gas. That's not hospitality, that's engineering. 74,000 square feet means you can't see the far wall from the door. 650 parking spots mean the lot never feels full enough to leave. The Luling, Texas store, opened June 2024, is the largest convenience store on Earth at 75,593 square feet. And the Katy store holds the Guinness record for the longest car wash, a 255-foot conveyor. The category word changed. A convenience store is something you pass. Buc-ee's is somewhere you drive to. People plan road trips around the stop. 100 million visits a year across roughly 50 locations does not happen by accident of geography. Think about your last 3 customer interactions. How long did each one last? If the answer is as short as possible, because efficiency, you optimize for the wrong variable. Buc-ee's built the slowest gas stop in America on purpose. You've probably spent the last year making yours faster. Now, what fills those 27 extra minutes? Jerky, nuts, fudge, brisket sandwiches, and a beaver on almost all of it. Private label merchandise there carries roughly 40% gross margins, against a 31 to 37% industry average for in-store goods. commodity snacks, specialty retail pricing. And in 2025, 44 years in, Buc-ee's showed up on a top grocery retailer ranking for the first time, a highway fuel stop measured against grocery chains. You don't accidentally outsell grocers on snacks. The category on the sign stopped describing the business years ago, and none of this is a secret. Every competitor can read the same numbers you just heard. They still can't build one, and the reason sits on the payroll line, not in a strategy deck. A Buc-ee's employs about 250 people. A traditional convenience store employs about 15. Entry pay runs $16 to $21 an hour. General managers make up to $225,000 a year, with 3 weeks paid vacation and a 6% 401k match. That payroll is only survivable because the store isn't living on fuel margin. A rival running the standard 65% fuel mix structurally cannot fund it. Worth marking clearly. The chain from pay to cleanliness to repeat visits is operator logic, not a study. The payroll gap itself is the sourced fact. The last time you looked at a competitor's cost structure, you asked how to beat it. The better question is which cost you'd be willing to carry that they never would, because that's the only advantage they can see coming and still not take. Now, the honest part, Buc-ee's is private. It discloses nothing. Every dollar figure here is somebody's estimate, including the one people repeat most, which is flatly wrong. The viral 200 million per store number isn't store revenue at all. It traces back to a company-wide net income estimate. Here's what survives scrutiny. Walk one location layer by layer. Fuel, enormous volume, thin margin, functionally an advertising line that pays for itself. Prepared food, brisket and kolaches made in-house, sold at food service margins to people already standing in the building for another reason. Private label merch, jerky, nuts, apparel, all branded, clearing about 40%. And underneath all three, the real estate. 20 to 42 acres of highway frontage, $6.5 to $11.5 million for the land, then $60 to $95 million to build. Company-wide, an estimated $3 to $5 billion in annual revenue from about 54 locations, headed past 70 stores in 17 states by 2027. Nobody spends $95 million to sell gasoline. The build cost only makes sense if the pumps are a funnel, and the 74,000 square feet behind them are the actual store. So, Buc-ee's charges too little for gas, staffs 250 people where 15 would do, and spends $90 million on a building. Every one of those decisions looks insane until you accept that the fuel is the advertising and the store is the business. Which brings you back to that line. 40 people deep, waiting on brisket, a hoodie under one arm, 25 minutes into a fuel stop. You weren't a customer who got distracted. You were standing inside the profit center. The gas station out front was the ad. The name on your sign is a marketing decision. It was never a description of where the money comes from. Quick one before you go. What's the line on your P&L that brings people in but doesn't make the money? Put it in the comments. The pattern in those answers is usually more interesting than the video. And if you want the rest of these operator breakdowns, subscribing is how they find you. Because Buc-ee's isn't the only company selling one thing to make money on another. There's a version of this that's been running in your kitchen for 30 years, and it starts with a printer that costs less than the ink. That one's on screen now. All right, that's all for this one.